right, so we just talked about factoring, right? And so this next question is going to use that technique too. So the question reads, how do you solve 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 equal to 0? Okay, so now this question is asking us to find the values of x, which will make this equation true. So what values of x will make this left-hand side equal to 0? And we're going to do that by finding the factors of it, okay? All right, so we're going to first write out our equation, 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. And we're going to factor this, okay? So we need to think of the factors of 3, which is 1 and 3, right? So I'm just going to write that in here. So 1 and 3. And the factors of 5, it's also a prime number, so we only have 1 and 5. So I'm going to write it like this, negative 5 and 1. So since this is a negative number, we have to make sure that this at least one of the factors are negative, right? So if we were to cross multiply this now, we would get negative 5 plus 3, which equals to negative 2. So we now have found our factors, which is 1x plus 1 and 3x minus 5. So this equals to x plus 1 and 3x minus 5. And now from this state, so this factored form is the same as this. But in this interpretable form, we're able to find the values of x, which will make this equation equal to 0. Okay, so the values of x will be whatever makes this bracket to be equal to 0 and whatever makes this bracket to be equal to 0. So all we have to do is actually solve for x plus 1 equals 0 and 3x minus 5 equal to 0. Okay, in this first one, we get x equals negative 1. So when x equals negative 1, this equals to 0, and if this equals to 0, anything multiplied by 0 is 0. Alright, the second one is going to be 3x equals 5, and x equals 5 over 3. So when x equals 5 over 3, this equals to 0, and anything times 0 is equals to 0. So 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0 when x equals negative 1 or 5 over 3. Okay, so this is just one way of solving this problem. And the other ways of solving this problem, you can use a quadratic formula to solve it if you're unable to factor it, or you can even graph and find the x-intercepts of your graph. Because an alternative way of looking at this question is basically they're asking for the values of x that will, called zeros, that will equal this equation to 0. Another way of seeing it is that they're looking for the x-intercepts of our quadratic function, because the x-intercepts sets our y to be equal to 0, right? So those are other ways you can interpret this question, but this is the simplest way of doing it. All right, so they went through factoring, but we already explained how to factor, so we don't really need to cover this too much. But at this point, when they factored it, they realized that, oh, when we set these brackets to equal 0, that whole equation will be equal to 0. So we just solve 3x minus 5 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. And they found the zeros, which is negative 1 and 5 over 3. So this solution is correct. Good job. Cool. All right, let's move on to question